But yeah, the opportunity that we are learning right now, not many people knew this. And parang para sa amin, it's parang naging ano siya yung parang moral obligation ba that you find something that is good in value na naging it's your obligation to share. Parang ganun. Kasi kung iisipin nyo, yun nga idea na to na pa nag-uusap kami ni Orly, sayang no, sana, andun pa rin yung gano'n namin eh, sayang sana nung pa namin naintindihan na natin to, no? Mas maaga tayo nakapagsimula. There is always a good time and the perfect time, God's time, na sinasabi. And that you learn these things and then i-share natin sa alam nating magbe-benefit nito. So, I sent to you yung underwriting calculator. Yeah, naandun sa Messenger. Isa yan sa magandang tools on how you can evaluate the value of the property. During sa interactive, Real Estate Interactive na namin ni Brian, this is one of the tools that they actually provided. And let's go over it. I'm gonna share my screen. So ito parang ano to eh, a cheat sheet sabi nila. It's an underwriting calculator para once na nakakita kayo ng property, you can plug in the numbers here. Okay? So, number of units, gamitin natin yung units na binili nating property. Number of units is 28 units. Ang ating rent on average is 1,200. Okay? Yun yung nakalagay dyan. Meron tayong other income. Ito yung galing sa Coinomatic na nakalagay yung tatlong washer and dryer doon sa each level ng building. So it generates 1.15% other income. And then yung occupancy natin, kahit full occupancy, we always put a little bit of vacancy. Kaya hindi 100% yan, 97%. So ang expenses natin based doon sa pro forma is 39%, 38-39%, something like that. And then ang cap rate natin is 5.24. Yun yung nakalagay sa pro forma ng seller. So that's why price pagkakabili natin ng building is almost 4.6. 4.590. Yun yung ating price, accepted price. So that's how the computation ang simple ng so ang kailangan mo lang is the number of units, the average rent, tapos i-estimate mo yung occupancy and you take ang expenses around 35% to 40%. And then cap rate dito sa area na ng market natin, we're in, nandito tayo sa Garden City, Maples area, 5% yan. So you're gonna generate 5.24% na cap rate. Ayan na, meron na tayong price tag, di ba? On this calculation, meron ba kayong questions dyan? Or madali siya maintindihan? Kasi nag-go over na natin sa one time yun, di ba? Mas simplified na siya. So without looking at this underwriting calculator, kung dun kayo sa mismong calculator nyo, you'll be like 1,200, yun ang rent, times mo sa 12, that's a year income, times mo sa 28 units, di ba? Ganun ang computation ng total rent. And then, kuhanin mo yung 97% na occupancy, na occupancy, and it will give you yung effective rent. And then, minus the expenses. So, kung 39% ang expense, 61% yung ating take out. Yun yung sa atin na income. And then, idagdag natin yung the income ng other income, and then divide mo yun by the cap rate, it will give you 0.524. Nagets niyo ba? It will give you 4,600,000. Okay, ito ang pinakamaganda dito. Yun dinidiscuss natin na sabihin na natin 10 years. Okay? In the next 10 years, ang tagal naman nun. Pwede bang 5 years? Ano lang, let's exaggerate. In the next 10 years, sabihin natin tumaas yung rent niya ng $200. Gawin natin tong 200. Alisin na natin to. Other income. Let's make it 0. Napaka-conservative nito. While making our regular net income or yung cash distribution natin after 10 years, actually mali ito 758,000. Let's see. 200 times 12 times 28 times 0.61 divided by 0.0524. Yeah, 782 or 758,000. Oh, no, 57%. Hold on. 200 times 28 times 12. I-multiply natin siya sa net operating income natin is 40,000 divided by 0.0524. 782,000. Saan ako nagkamali? Oh, yeah. 0.97. 758,000. Yep. That's the minimum that we can get sa value ng property in 10 years time. Very conservative. From 1.2 to 1,400. Kasi sa ngayon, ang ating rent doon sa property is already at 1,300 na. 1,335 na yung rent natin doon. Plus parking. So meron ng nagre-rent sa atin ng 1,390s and 1,400. Okay. Historical ba yan? Okay. Alright. So meaning from 1,200 to 1,400 or 1,400 to 1,600. 2 bedrooms. Ganun na yung rent ng mga 2 bedrooms dito sa area natin sa Garden City and McPhillips area. Nasa 1,600, 1,800 na rin yung iba. So it's a good market to consider. And yun yung process kung paano natin kino-compute yung ating ma-generate na income. So anyways, that's the income part, but the most important part to understand dyan is yung valuation ng property and the value of appreciation of building. So it all depends sa income ng property. Kaya anytime the income increase or the rent increase, sumasabay yung pagtaas ng value ng asset. So, okay, let's stop sharing this. Gusto kong makita nyo tong ano na to. This will gonna reinforce you. I'll share with you yung isang video ni Uncle about your first deal. Okay.
So let's talk about your first deal. Chapter 6, let's talk about your first deal. Let me show you what your first deal should look like. So you have a specific criteria.
Naririnig nyo? It's good? Okay, very good. Okay, let's listen.
That you're looking for, and don't waste time on deals that won't be good for you. Pay attention to this recipe, and your first deal has a better chance of being a winner than a loser. Before I walk through the criteria on your first deal, let me give you some basic terms so that when I'm talking about them, you get accustomed to hearing these terms and using them to understand your financial statement, your purchase, the exit. I'll just go over those terms now. Gross rental income, GRI. This is the total possible income if every unit is rented at the full price. This figure is typically used, or you'll see it on a statement used by a broker or in an OM, an operating memorandum, and it's almost meaningless. Okay, now that
yung sinasabi niyang GRR, that's gross rental revenue, or GRI, gross rental income. Mga terminology to sa accounting, most likely pagka hindi ka accountant, hindi mo masyadong magagrasp. So, ibig sabihin nun, yun yung total rent sa madaling salita, in the layman's term. Si Brian, accountant yan, so madali niya ito magagrasp. But tayo, mga nasa field outside accounting and not really familiar sa investment, ang ibig sabihin ng GRI or GRR is total rent. Okay? Kapag fully occupied yung building, that's the total rent. Okay, let's proceed.
Being said, let me just say that if the gross rental income is 800 times 32 units, that's $25,600. I know that that's the max number that I can get from the GRI, right? I might look at that and say, well, where are we right now? We're getting maybe 90% or 88% or 85% of the gross rental income. Wow, what if I could improve the property? Can I raise the rents? So while I say that this number is meaningless on a financial statement, but what I mean by that is the number that matters is the number we collect. But when you're trying to buy something to make sense of something and or sell something, you're gonna buy it based on, hey, I think I can get it back to this number or above that. And when you're selling it, you're definitely gonna tell people, hey, we're under managing the property. Look, we're only hitting 88% of our GRI. When you come in, because you're gonna be a better manager, you get the point? Okay, effective gross income. By the way, you should be looking at a financial statement while I read these terms off so you can see where on the financial statement these terms lie. EGI, effective gross income. This is the amount of rental income collected. This is a very, very important number. Now you got to know how to think with this number, like all these terms. You got to think with that particular number, the EGI. This is the amount of rental income actually collected. But why? Why was it this number? Okay, is there something that's going on in the property that should make or could make it closer to the total gross potential income that you could collect? Okay, why? You want to always look at why is this number what it is. Now the EGI is what the deal is. I mean, unless you think that every property you buy, you're going to be the better manager, you're going to be the perfect collector, you're going to be the perfect picker of a tenant. That EGI, when I buy something, I assume I'm never going to manage something better. I would love to be surprised because I bought it. All of a sudden, people wanted to pay me more. All of a sudden, the people that were late want to pay me on time. All of a sudden, the people that were struggling with their rent now suddenly come into all this money and they're like, we just want to pay you, Mr. Landlord, more money. I would like to believe that, but the reality is you're going to probably manage the property somewhere in that same little range below or just a tad better than the last guy. Okay, other income. Other income means collections from things other than rent. Utility reimbursements like water, gas, electricity, if you can collect for those things, laundry, application fees, late fees, pet fees. That's right. People will pay more for their doggy than they will for a lot of other things. Parking, valet, trash, VIP parking. These numbers can indicate also, when you see them on a financial statement, they can indicate, hey, I got a problem. Maybe you had collections that are too high. You got late fees that are too high. Or you have concessions that are too high. Or you don't have trash and VIP parking. You're like, why don't you guys pick up the trash for the tenant and charge them $18 or $19 or $22 a month? Don't let the tenant take their trash out to the trash can. They throw it over the little thing. Half of it falls in, half of it falls out. They drag it. Don't do that. Charge them to pick up their trash. They'll be happy that you did. So look for other income as opportunities and an indication of problems. Expenses. What are the expenses of a property? Expenses can be variable or invariable, right? They can be things that can shift, or they can be things that are going to be there no matter what, like your taxes. Your taxes are going to be there. You can't get away from them. The variable expenses are bringing other people in, other things that are variable that can shift or change. Expenses from the normal operations of the property, basically. Basically, things like anything having to do with keeping the property going. You're going to have an electric bill. You're going to have a gas bill. You're going to have a water bill. You're going to have taxes. You're going to have a manager. You're going to have advertising and marketing. This expense column will not include major capital improvements, like a new roof or new floors or a new clubhouse. Those are called capital improvements. It will also, expenses will not include, typically will not include the debt. My principal and interest payments are not considered an expense. Why? Because I didn't have to do that. Okay, marketing, advertising, turning the lights on, the water, signage, those things have to be done with the operation. Okay, some things don't have to be done. I didn't have to borrow money to buy the property. I could have paid cash for it. So that number would go. The debt and major capital improvements would go on a lower line below the expenses. Which brings me to NOI. NOI is the net operating income of the property. It's a very, 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 very important calculation to understand. This represents your effective gross income. That's your EGI, less your operating expenses before your debt. If you're looking at your EGI, if you're looking at your NOI, this is your gross potential, then you're going to see your effective gross income, then you're going to see all your expenses, and then you're going to see your net operating income. On your statement, you could see 2 or 3 different net operating incomes. Net operating income after debt, net operating income after capital expenses. Go back over your financial statement, get in your workbook, and say, hey, where's that NOI number? Where's the expense number? Where do the taxes go? Where do the property taxes go? Where's my EGI sit? Where does my gross income sit? Where does my EGI sit? Look at your financial statement and see where each one of these sits on that financial statement. Cap rate. Now this represents, you're going to hear cap rate thrown around everywhere. This represents the rate of return your property would pay you as an investor if there was no debt. Now, the NOI, the cap rate is figured based on the NOI divided by the price you paid for the property. So look, in your book, it says it's calculated by subtracting the expenses from the EGI, okay? That's actually a misprint. It's saying the NOI is calculated by subtracting expenses from the EGI. Your cap rate is figured, you basically take the cap rate, you take the NOI and you divide it into the price you paid, okay? So let's say the NOI is 100 grand and the price I paid was $1 million. I would take the 100 grand, divide it into the price I paid, $1 million, and I would say, hey, I got a 10 cap, right? By the way, if you get a 10 cap, run as fast as you can because there's something wrong with this neighborhood. How do I get to the NOI? I take the expenses from the EGI and I come up with my NOI. How do I come up with my cap rate? I take the NOI and I divide it right there by the price I paid, and that's how I come up with it. Effective gross income, let's say it's 95,000, my expenses are 30, my NOI is 65,000. Do the math, okay? How do I figure what my cap rate is? If I paid $1 million and the property pays me 65,000 in NOI, my cap rate is 6.5%. 6.5% return on the money that I invested if I paid cash. Okay, remember the cap rate is always a cash calculation if you pay cash. Now, if you have a 6.5 cap rate, because the next term that we're going to cover is leverage, if I have a 6.5 cap rate and a 4.5% interest rate, if the interest rate is lower than the cap rate, then I'm going to actually make more money and my cap rate, my return on investment will explode anytime the interest rate is lower than the cap rate. And I use leverage, what will happen is my return will increase. Watch that again. Understand what I just shared with you, okay? When the cap rate is higher than the interest rate, and I now use leverage, remember the cap rate's figured on cash. When I use leverage and the interest rate, see this difference right here? 4.5%, 6.5 cap rate. See these 2 points right here? I'm being paid 2% for the money that I borrowed. I'm being paid 2% on somebody else's money. So my 6.5 cap rate should go 6.5 plus 2, somewhere short of 8%, okay, as a calculation. Okay, leverage. This is referred to, and I mean, this is why I love borrowing money against multifamily, against income property. I can take a $90 million piece of real estate and put $32 million down and finance 62. Okay, that's leverage. This is referred to as the benefit the investor gains by owning more assets than they paid for. If it's 90 million, I put 30 million down. What did I pay for the property? I financed 60 million. You paid 90 million. No, I paid 30 million for a $90 million piece of property. Okay, that's called leverage. Now, I get two benefits of that. One, I put $30 million down, or let's say it's $1 million. I put $1 million down and bought a $3 million property. That's leverage. 1 million bought me $3 million. But the other leverage is the improvement on my return. Okay, remember in the last example, a 6.5 cap rate, a 4.5% interest rate. I'm being paid 2 points in this example on the money I borrowed. On the money I borrowed. Most people can't even get paid 0.5% at the bank on money they can't even get. Okay, you have $1 million in a bank account at your bank and you get paid 0.5 point. I'm being paid 2% on the difference of the money I borrowed. If this is freaking mind-boggling to you, by the way, right? If you're like, wow, whoa, what just happened here, right? You need to go back and look at your financial statement and get your head wrapped around this. You ain't a rubber band. And if you're a rubber band, that means you're being stretched and pulled and you don't know what you're doing. You need to get your head wrapped tight around this thing. If I use debt in the example I just went over, watch and see how the percentage return increases on the cash I invested, called leverage. Okay, so let's take...
Naiintindihan niyo ba yung sinasabi niya? Medyo pagka-fresh, talaga, it's tough to understand. Bago siya this presentation na ginagawa niya sa board, this is what he was explaining, yung sinasabi niya na meron siyang binili na 1 million and then merong na-generate na 65,000 in a year, and then 65,000 divided by 1 million, that's the 6.5 cap rate. Okay? Kasi hindi niya binarrow yung 1 million, yun yung ginamit niyang pambili ng asset na nag-produce ng 65,000 a year. So, nung una kong narinig tong presentation na to, I go back again. Kasi kahit accountant ako, it's tough when you're not really getting paano siya nagsimula. So, sa financial statements, which most of you are not familiar with, Sa financial statements, may tinatawag na income statement. Yung income statement, yun yung isa sa mga financial statement, okay? Financial statements kasi may balance sheet, merong yung cash flow statement, merong income and profit and loss kung tawagin, statements. So yung dinidiscuss niya kanina na effective rent, okay, yun yung actual ng occupants ng building or based on actual occupancy. Hindi siya yung 100% kasi nga majority of the time ang mga apartment may mga vacancy ratio siya. So yung GRI, yung gross rental o yung full potential ng property, hindi siya somehow na ilalagay sa financial statements kasi kung ano lang talaga yung actual rent, yun yung sinasabi nilang effective income. And then ima-minus lahat ng expenses, and then you will come up with the net operating income. So puro income yung pinag-usapan, income minus expense, so net operating income. Moving forward dito sa kanyang presentation, maiintindihan natin yung ibig niya sabihin. But yung sinasabi niya kanina na leverage, ang ibig sabihin kasi ng debt sa kanya is leverage. You are given this leverage to buy. Kagaya natin, we only put how much yung pinag-contributan natin, 1.5 million. Ang leverage natin is almost more than 3.2 million. Yun yung leverage natin. Yun yung pinautang sa atin ng bangko. Okay? So, kapag mas mataas ang net operating income or yung cap rate na tinatawag, pag mas mataas yun kaysa doon sa cost of borrowing, yun na sinasabi niya kanina, 6.5 ang cap rate niya. Ang cost of borrowing niya is 4.5. Meron siyang 2%. Right there and then, meron siyang 2% na, hold on. Look natin si Jen. Okay, meron siyang...
The EGI, 95,000.
Okay, hold on. Okay. So, dun sa difference ng cap rate at noong interest ng borrowings, kumikita na rin siya doon. Kumikita tayo doon. Okay, so just like what we have dito sa ating in-acquire. Okay? Ang maganda dito, kaya nga, ang gandang pag-usapan kasi meron na tayo na-acquired. Okay? Sa ating property, ang cap rate natin na kinonsider is 5.24. Okay? Yun yung cap rate natin. Ang binigay na rate sa atin ng bangko is 4.89. Kahit maliit lang yung diferensya niya, that's a plus, that's a positive margin right there. Hindi mataas yung interest rate ng borrowed money natin doon sa cap rate natin. So it's a positive, may positive margin tayo. Okay, so let's proceed doon sa sinasabi ni Uncle para mas lalo niyo maintindihan yung computation. Let's go. I think this is just about parang 3 more minutes.
$1,000. What's EGI? EGI is the effective gross income. It's how much dough we collected, right? I'm going to take my expenses off of this. Remember what expenses run at? I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 44%. Should be somewhere in that range, right? Let's say it's $30,000. Did I hit that number? Oh, pretty close to that number. Isn't that about, what, 30%? Yeah, it's a little lower than it should be. Maybe not. Check out, find out what it is. Should it be more than that, okay? Let's assume I paid $1 million for this property. There's my sales price, okay? The NOI now is $65,000. That's how you figure out your cap rate, 6.5 by $65,000. If you paid cash for the property, you borrowed your NOI is 65. That's your return. This is your income. This is your expenses. This is your return. If you pay cash, NOI always assumes, remember, NOI always assumes that you pay cash. So when the broker's telling you I got a 6.5% return, it's a 6.5 cap rate, okay? If I borrow money and that money costs me 4.5%, and that money costs me, let's say I borrow, I don't know, how much would I borrow? 700,000. Let's say I put 300 grand down and I borrow $700,000 worth of money here. I put 30% down. I didn't over leverage. Remember what I said a few minutes ago? I'm going to be paid if there's 2 points of difference here, 6.5 cap and a 4.5% interest rate. I'm being paid 2 points on $700 million. It isn't my money. Let me just read you the math. That's going to cost about $39,000 a year. I think that's right. Let me just take 700 grand times 4.5. 700,000 times 0.045. $31,500. I must have used a higher interest rate in the book, okay? But I'm gonna stay with this because this is the example I used in the book. So this is gonna be $26,000. $26,000. I earned $26,000 on how much down? 300 grand down, okay? These numbers are chasing this right now. 300,000 divided by 26,000. I'm sorry, 26,000 divided by $300,000 that I put down.
8.6.
That's an 8.6 return. 8.6% return. Remember, I told you I was going to pick up a couple points here. I'm paying 4.5% for the money. I'm getting 8.6% on a deal that should only return me 6.5%. How can I get 8.6% return on a deal that the broker said was a 6.5% on cap? That, my friends, is called leverage. Leverage. I'm being paid 2.1 points for money, right? That I borrowed from somebody else. Imagine it.
Nagets niya? Right? So there are those numbers that is buried sa ganitong klaseng deals that sometimes it will be hard for us to understand sa simulang-simula. Pero if you can project, if you can forecast, and if you can read between rates, you will appreciate yung sinasabi ni Uncle on this kind of tawag nito, money, how the money is working in favor of you. So yung cap rate, we are discussing the importance of understanding numbers every Tuesday. Nakakatuwa yung discussion natin doon. And ang importante doon is the number of doors, yun nga, ano ba yung vacancy rate, ano yung occupancy rate, of course, and then ano yung NOI, cap rate, may sinasabi pang cash on cash return. Maybe next time. Pero ang sarap kasing pag-usapan kapag you are already on that path. So sa atin in our deals sa Jefferson, yung hindi ganun kalaki yung difference ng interest rate and cap rate, but it's on the positive note. Wala tayo sa negative side. So cap rate natin is 5.24 and we borrowed, yung cost of borrowing the 3.225 sa ating financial institution, that's 4.89. So 5.24 minus 4.89. So meron tayong 4.35%. It's not much leverage, but that's actually the tawag nito. That's a positive leverage on the money that we borrowed. Kumita tayo doon sa funds na binaro natin sa bank. That's how it is being parang treated pagdating sa books. Makikita niyo yan kapag nagbabasa na tayo ng financial statements moving forward. And mas lalo niyo ma-appreciate how the investments in real estate is talagang real. Diba? So anyways, pero yun yung pinaka-gist ng sister. It's all about how yung binarrowed mong money, how you're gonna make income from what you borrowed. Diba? It's a very interesting discussion pagdating sa interest. Ganyan yan. How can you make money from your borrowed money? Again, GRI is what? Gross rental income. Iyon yung potential income ng property. Ang effective gross income, EGI, that is the actual rent. So based on occupancy. And then expenses, then net operating income. Okay, simple formula. And then net operating income divided by cap rate, yun yung value ng property. So That's why yung calculator natin, it's a cheat sheet na ipa-plug mo lang yung mga information doon and you can get the value of the property or the appreciation of property once na nag-increase ang rent. Pagka numbers ang pinag-uusapan, sabi ni Orly, parang gusto niya matulog. Pero ako naman, kapag numbers ang pinag-uusapan, dilap na naman yung mata. Very interesting sa akin ang numbers. Kasi pag numbers ang pinag-uusapan, kahit hindi mo i-explain, I can understand it really well. Pero sabi ni Orly, pagka daw yata, kahit nung bata daw siya, pag numbers, parang gusto niya yung umuulan, yung parang, magde-declare ang Weather Bureau. No classes. Kasi math. Nakakatuwa, no? We have, all of us, meron tayong kanya-kanyang strengths natin. But we're blessed to have yung ating group ng may individual tayo. Merong magaling sa numbers, merong magaling pagdating sa pagkakategorize ng investments, and then meron tayong na person in the financials, merong nasa health, merong nasa operations, o diba? It's all good. Merong nasa insurance o finance and insurance, and then meron ng may experience at least sa real estate, diba? It's a good combination of a group. What is your win? Natutuwa lang ako nung nagsimula ako sa coaching, laging ito yung pinakamagandang ginagawa namin every time we meet up. Na just a very short phrase like, I'm so thankful, nagkaroon ako ng 5 kliyente last week, something like that. Diba? Dati 2 lang, ngayon 5. Mga wins, diba? It's good to share. It's good to, tapos yung, last week may sakit ako, ngayon wala na ako sakit, gumaling na ako. So those are the wins. Okay, alright. Okay, wala na daw siyang i-share. He is reserving it for Sunday. He is reserving it for Sunday. Okay, so
abangan po namin yan, Kuya Orly.
Oo, yeah, very special. Ilang pages? Ilang pages, biglang ganun na. We'll give him the podium. Okay, what is the opportunity that you saw in our first investment? Yun yung ating we were gonna share something about that. And then, okay, sa finance, RRSP season na, okay? Hanggang March 3, ang RRSP contribution. If you want to take advantage of that, kausapin niyo si Sister Berna. Meron kasi din siyang program on that. Ang BMO, meron sila where hindi na kailangang magkaroon pa kayo ng application or i-check pa yung inyong credit score or something like that. Wala ang ganun. It's a ready line that you can set up para makapag-generate kayo ng refund. I highly recommend this kind of approach doon kasi this is one of the ways that you can make money from other people's money. Okay? And the government will gonna subsidize that by giving you such a refund too. Ganun ang advantage ng ganitong klaseng approach on RRSP. You're gonna invest that money, it's not your money, but you're gonna make money on it, and then refund, you can use it as buffer kung nag-borrow kayo ng funds towards your investments. So, that's how I see it na valuable sa ating mga investors. Okay? And what else? Did I forget something? I think...
So sis, we're looking forward in a hearing on Sunday from Orly Cardon-Alago.
Yan po ata yung main
Canada. Yeah. Orlando Cardon-Alago of Canada.
So, naalala ko tuloy si Sister Berna, sabi niya sa akin, Sister, marunong ka nang mag-Zoom call, marunong ka na rin mag-record. O, di ba, this is a win for me. Hindi ako marunong dito. And then sabi niya, ano ka na, si Sister Mel Cardona. Nakakatuwa. But it's It's well, Papa, ang ganda ng kwento mo na yon. But anyways, it was his reflexology day today. Okay? Kanina, inihatid ko siya doon. I left him at the clinic. Hindi naman nagre-reflect sa kanya is not a Filipino. Okay? Ano siya? Sabi niya, Mama, alam mo ba? Nasabi daw nung kausap niya na yung reflexology, sabi ko naman sa kanya, you made me think really about my situations being a single mom with my kids. Sabi ko, wow, naintindihan ka nung puti. Yay! Sabi niya, marunong na akong mag-share ng information kahit English. Paano ko kaya ginawa yun? Sabi ko, sayang hindi ko narinig. Wala kasi ako dun no? But yeah, the opportunity that we are learning right now, not many people knew this. And parang para sa amin, it's parang naging siya yung parang moral obligation ba? That you find something that is good in value na naging, it's your obligation to share. Parang ganun. Kasi kung iisipin nyo, yun nga idea na to na pag nag-uusap kami ni Orly, sayang na sana, andun pa rin yung gano'n namin sayang sana nung namin naintindihan na natin to. Mas maaga tayo nakapagsimula. There is always a good time and the perfect time, God's time, na sinasabi. That you learn these things and then i-share natin sa alam nating magbe-benefit nito. So, yeah, that's it. So, I think that's everything for tonight. Next family. Okay, so with that, i-share na lang natin yung video natin na to sa ating mga hindi nakasama tonight. And okay, it's 7 o'clock. See, ganun kabilis ang oras. Akala ko konting oras lang tayo nag-meet up, and it's already 7 o'clock. Wow. Okay, so Tenex family. Okay, let's do the Tenex. Okay, bro. Okay, we'll see you by Sunday. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Huh?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sige, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Good night.